Hi, today I am going to give you 5 quick activities that you can do with your students using the new Smartboard 6000 series. Hopefully by now you've had an opportunity to play around with the new features on the Smartboard with your students, but if you haven't, today you're going to gain 5 activities that you can do fairly easily and very quickly with your students on the next school day. This is the home screen of the Smartboard. You'll notice that it keeps your recent activities here on this side. And then if you create favorites like our one-stop shop on this side, all of those will come up for easy access as well. For the first step of this tutorial, we are going to go to the whiteboard. You can see on the toolbar here that they have added lots of different writing features. There's multiple types of writing paper. There's dot paper for making arrays in mathematics. But for this step, we're going to use the plain screen, and I wanted to show you how to add a worksheet or an activity on your Smartboard. You'll come over to the toolbar here on the left and tap the photo that has a little plus sign in it, and that's going to open up a menu board for you to search the web or to search the Smartboard for activities that you have created and saved in the files. We're going to go over and search for an activity that can be used in the higher grades. Okay, you can use some multiplication tables here. You can tap it and it'll insert it onto your page. Say you're working on 12 by 12 multiplication facts with students, you can use this as an example to help them. If you wanted to give your students a worksheet, you would just tap this again here and you can go up to your search bar and type in worksheet, and it's going to give you some fluency worksheets that you can use with students. You're going to tap it, and if you tap it twice, the cool feature about this is that you can grab it and pull it to the side. They're resized very similarly to what you would do on an iPad, so you can grab it with 2 fingers and make it larger, or you can make it smaller. The nice feature about this is that 2 students can come up and write on the Smartboard at the same time. With our previous Smartboard, we could only have 1 student use one writing tool at one time, but now we can have multiple students come up and they can both write on the Smartboard at the same time to answer the question. Another really cool feature for the whiteboard is being able to change your handwriting into typed text. If you're using the whiteboard feature to write out your morning meeting message and you want to change it to text, this is the feature that you want to try out. You're going to pick up one of the writing tools and come over to the toolbar on the left. Tapping the marker will open up all of your options for writing. You have your line color, your thickness, and all of the different colors that you can choose here. And then there's also a regular marker tip, a chisel tip, and this third one is the one that we want. It has an uppercase A and a lowercase a in it. If you tap that, it's going to change all of your writing into text, just like this. It takes a moment to convert into text, but it will recognize punctuation and spacing. When you're finished and you want to erase, naturally you want to pick up the eraser. However, the eraser tool will not work with this function, so you will have to click your text, which will then highlight it and bring up this arrow. Tapping this arrow will allow you to delete the text or lock the text in place so you can begin to add more. Hi, so another really great feature with the Smartboard 6000 series is using the whiteboard to give a shout out. So your students can log in and shout something out and it will appear up here on the Smartboard. So for this example, I opened up the whiteboard app and I went to the insert tab here with the plus sign and I inserted which one doesn't belong. There was tons of examples that came up, and I just chose this one for the sake of today's video. You would have your students take some time looking at these 4 options and thinking about which one doesn't belong. This is a perfect morning meeting activity or an opening warm-up for your math lesson. At the point when they've all had an opportunity to think about their response, you're going to add a page here, and you have lots of options on adding a new page. The one that we want to look at today is a shout out. Now, we already added a shout out page, so I'm going to show that to you here. When you add a shout out page, it's going to give your students a link, hellosmart.com. They will log into that link using their Chromebooks, or they can also use their devices that they have with them. Even their personal devices, if they're connected to the Colonial Network, will be able to use this site. You will also be given a unique code for your classroom that your students will put in after they log into that website. We've already done that here in the classroom, so Ms. Price and I are going to resume the shout out, and I want students to take the time to record their response, and when they record it either on their mobile device or on their Chromebooks, it will pop up here on the screen. I'm going to take a second to record my response on my iPhone, and Ms. Price is going to do it on a Chromebook. You'll notice that our responses will start popping up on the screen. So you can see here that Mrs. Price's response came up, and it says Ash, so it identifies her. And you can read what her response is. It says 9 because it is a single number. And then if you look down here, you can see my response. It identifies me by my name, and I said I think 9 doesn't belong because all of the other numbers added together equal 7. Now the cool thing about this feature is that you can then take student responses and move them around the board to start to chart the data and really dive deeper into the understanding of your students. So this feature again is called Shout It Out, and it can be used in multiple different ways with all of our students since they all have one-to-one devices. Another way to use the Smartboard is to be able to have an external camera to show students the work that you are completing. For example, we just worked on a slideshow activity, and now I want to transition over to a whole group activity that I want to model first. So I'm going to hit the home key. I'm going to go down here and click the apps, and then I want to choose my camera. You'll notice that I have an external camera here. This is the Hue document camera. It's plugged into one of the ports in the rear of the Smartboard. So if I just hit the camera here, you'll notice on the screen the camera comes up. Now I've already modeled how to complete this syllables activity with my students. You can see that they can see everything on the board here. I used scissors, pencil to write my name, and a glue stick to glue everything on. We modeled the whole activity together before I expected them to do it independently. The cool thing about it is even with the external camera, at this point I can then come up and use the markers, and I can highlight or mark things like identifying the fact that I wrote my name. If I made some errors on the paper and I wanted to correct things, I could identify that with the pen or the marker. I could also make a list over here if I wanted to with the words that have one syllable, and we could spell them out or brainstorm the words. So it's pretty cool that you're able to use the drawing function as well as the camera app at the same time. The last tip we have for you today for using the Smartboard 6000 series is a really cool one because it can be used every day during small group instruction, center time, and as an opportunity to check for individual students' understanding. Obviously, it's very important for us to scaffold lessons and to provide individualized attention to all of our students' needs. With the Smartboard, we can do just that. During center times, students can come up and use the whiteboard feature for preloaded activities that you have picked for each of your students. You understand your students best and you know their needs very well. So using the multiple page feature, you can create lessons for each individual child within a center group. For example, if you have 3 or 4 children in group 1 and they're all working on the word family at, the kids can come over and given a pre-assigned number, one that they know, they can come up and pick their page on the Smartboard and complete the activity that is assigned to their number. So for example, a child who is assigned number 2 would come up and they would circle the words in the at word family. They would use the chart that you provided, again, just by adding the chart here with the add tool, and the student would circle it and their work would stay on the page. Child number 3, who only needed a little bit of a prompt, would come up and be able to write some words in the at family. Student number 4 may not need any prompts, and you may want them to just start using a graphic organizer. When everyone in the center is finished with their specific page, you can then have students do an exit ticket where they would work together in that center group to draw and write a word. This is a cool graphic organizer to use to help check for understanding. You can really see which students need more additional work with this specific skill and which students are ready to move on. So again, this last step provides us an opportunity to differentiate our work for small groups in center time, and also gives us an opportunity to use exit tickets in a really cool way to check for understanding. I hope you enjoyed all of these tips and techniques, and I hope you enjoy playing and using your Smartboard with your students.